SPORTSDOC.
Hello and welcome to SPORTSDOC, Singapore's podcast for all things sporting and medical. I'm Dr. Alan Cheung, a sports surgeon at the International Orthopaedic Clinic, and today I have the great honour of having Mr. Jeremy Tong on the show. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for coming. Now let's have a short intro. Jeremy is a Singaporean mountaineering expert. He is an explorer, an adventurer, climbing instructor and outdoor educational specialist, a TED talker, Singaporean silent hero, and he's raised thousands of dollars for charity. And he's one of a handful of Singaporeans who's climbed Mt Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, last year. So, Jeremy, congratulations. Why did you do it?
I did it because I could and I can. So I went to climb Mount Everest. Yep.
Okay, so basically you're someone who likes a challenge and basically likes to go all out to reach that goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I heard that you are actually the youngest Singaporean to have climbed Everest twice, but on the first attempt you almost made it. You came within 200 meters of the summit and had to turn back. Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah. So we left for the summit in the night time, in the evening, and it's going to be more than like a 24 hours kind of summit push.
Okay. Yeah.
And roughly almost 7 to 8 hours after leaving from the Camp 4, I was approaching to the south summit, and my toes and my legs started to get really cold.
Okay. Sure.
Due to the cold winds,
yeah.
and the low temperatures,
Right.
minus 40 degrees Celsius.
Wow. Okay.
So it's like freezing stuff, So
oh my God.
Reaching the south summit, and unfortunately the cold got the better of me.
Yeah.
And I decided that I wanted to turn around because I was worried about my toes or my
Yeah.
hypothermia and stuff like that.
Okay. So I can't imagine. I mean, you've been climbing this extremely steep mountain, and we'll go into the conditions later on, for 8 hours, and you're within sight of your goal, something you've been striving for years, but yet you have to turn back. I mean, how did you feel?
Yeah, it was definitely a very tough decision to turn around. I prepared for this expedition for more than 2 years, in terms of getting the funding, in terms of sponsorships, and the time committed to go and train for the mountain,
Right. Okay.
and the other mountains that I've climbed before that as well.
Sure.
So it took a lot of commitment and effort as well.
Yeah.
So to make that decision just 200 meters from the true summit
Sure.
was probably one of the toughest decisions in my life, and in a hypoxic environment as well, it was probably one of the toughest things to do.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's incredibly brave and, but probably a very sensible thing to do, because frostbite, it's the condition where basically you lose the blood supply. It's so cold that you start to lose the blood supply to your digits. You can lose your fingers and toes, even your hands and feet. So, those are definitely very useful. And, hypothermia, when your core body temperature starts to drop, it's a very serious condition potentially. So it's good that you made the decision to fight another day.
Yeah.
But, and when did you actually decide to, take on Everest again and try it again?
Yeah. So shortly after I came back in 2017, that year in September, I got married.
Oh wow! Okay, congratulations.
Married? Thank you. I got married. And then I actually wanted to go back the next year in 2018.
Yeah.
But due to commitments in the marriage, I decided that I wanted to let's spend more time with my wife. And then in 2018, I decided that I shall put my feet down, and get the funding again. Commit myself. And put my career aside for a short while and aim for the following year. So 2019, I went back for the second try.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yep.
And basically, I mean, did you run into any problems on the second trip, or was it pretty much smooth sailing?
Well, it was smooth sailing to two occasions. So the first occasion was when we were doing an acclimatization climb up to Camp 2. And there was this, basically I was climbing up and I was hit by a huge gust of wind.
Okay.
And things started flying, tents started flying,
Oh God, okay.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like a typhoon thing, you know. And we found out after departing from Camp 2 back
Right.
to base camp,
Okay.
that we found out that there was actually a cyclone that was coming in from India.
Okay.
So it was coming inland,
Yeah.
and it came into the to the what they call it, to Mount Everest itself.
Okay.
Cyclone Fanny, that's what they call it.
Cyclone Fanny.
Yeah,
okay.
Fanny or Fanny.
Yeah, okay.
And it came in and blew everything off. Luckily, nobody died,
Okay.
but that was the first close call where things might get worse,
Yeah. Okay.
And the second one was probably when I was coming down from the summit.
Right. Yeah.
I was partially blinded by the snow particles because of the strong wind.
Okay.
And I was wearing I wasn't wearing my goggles reaching the summit.
Sure. Yeah.
And I was like, I could only see about 70% on the way down.
Okay, that's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, it is pretty dangerous, man.
Yeah. Okay.
And I had to traverse down the Hillary Step.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like really near the summit.
Okay.
Doing that portion while I was like 70%.
These are like really huge boulders, basically, covered in ice.
Yeah, the Hillary Step. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but nowadays Hillary Step is no longer there.
Okay.
The boulders are gone because of the earthquake.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we should take a step back because, although you said you made the decision to go back up Everest again, which is a very brave decision again. I mean, it takes a huge amount of planning, doesn't it, to do an expedition like that? I mean, how much does it cost and how much time does it take to plan a trip to Everest?
So, Everest cost an average of about 40,000 to about 80 to even 100,000, depending on the package that you choose as a client.
Yeah, but we're talking about years of training, right? You can't just decide to rock up to Everest and climb it, can you?
There are quite a lot of people nowadays that take Mount Everest like a holiday trip kind of thing. I strongly don't agree with that. But of course, a lot of training has come into play. Possibly climbing another 8,000 meters, or for me, I've climbed 7,000 meters prior to going to Everest.
Exactly. You probably wouldn't pick Mount Everest as your first mountain to climb.
Exactly, for sure.
So you're probably talking about double the time at least and double the cost. So it's not a cheap option. I know you have a lot of sponsors who you've done proud, basically. That's great. And logistically, is it a straightforward route up the mountain, or do you really have to... You talk about, the south face. So there are different approaches to the peak of Everest, aren't there?
Yeah.
And they've got different kind of difficulty levels, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. So on Mount Everest, there are actually two routes to the top. Yeah. So there's one from the south, which is from Nepal.
Right, okay.
And then there's another one from the north, which is from China.
Okay.
So there are technically two routes up Mount Everest.
Sure.
Both are equally difficult in the sense where in the south, from Nepal, you experience the Khumbu Icefall.
Okay.
There's a very treacherous area where there's a lot of big boulders of ice.
Sure.
And you cross those kind of ladders that go over the crevices.
Yeah, I've heard those are really dangerous.
So you basically be like tiptoeing over the ladders.
Wow.
And try not to fall into the crevices.
Sounds crazy.
Yeah, and you go through there a few times, like maybe about 4 or 5 times the whole trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to choose the right time.
Yeah.
Because if you go too late, then everything melts and then... And on the north side, all the camps are higher.
Yeah.
And there are no chances of helicopter rescue at all.
Sure. Okay, so slightly more dangerous.
It's slightly a bit more tricky.
Right, Okay. So probably most people take the slightly safer south option. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yep.
Well, we're going to talk about the danger involved in just a second. But I mean, when you finally made it to the top the second time around, no hypothermia, no sort of frostbite. How did that actually feel? I mean, how can you remember that exact moment when you're standing on the roof of the world?
Yep.
The whole world is beneath you.
Yep.
What an amazing feeling. Tell me about it.
To be very honest, I was quite tired. I reached the top, I was like, okay, we're halfway down. We're halfway out. We're going to get our way down now.
Yeah.
So I had a game plan,
Okay.
First thing I got to do is whip out my sponsor's flag.
Okay, the superhero flag out.
Take out the
cape out. And Singapore flag.
Yeah, Singapore flag.
That's right. Take a few.
That's
selfies.
all I did. I had a few plans. Take photo with my a soft toy that I always bring to all the summits that I've climbed.
Yeah.
That was given by my wife.
Okay, sure.
Did I manage to take that?
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't take much videos as well because my camera died after one or two photos.
That's typical. Yeah.
And finished, and that's it. And then basically look around. I met my friend at the summit. He was taking a video My friend from China.
Okay, awesome.
My teammate. Yeah.
Okay, great.
And basically, spend about 10 minutes on the top.
Sure.
And just look around. Really beautiful views, clear view on the summit day. And then decide that I had to go down.
Okay. Well, I think again, it's a sensible decision, because I heard that it's not like going for a selfie in Sentosa, is it? I mean, this being on top of Everest, above this so-called death zone, is one of the least inhospitable environments on Earth, and you can die within minutes if you don't have the right equipment. So probably 10 minutes was probably a sensible decision. I know I was reading that you had wanted to take a lot of photos and had 3 things you wanted to do, but at the end of the day you had to live, because apparently the descent going down Everest was actually the most dangerous part, I've heard, because you're fatigued. You spent some time doing some selfies at the top and you get snow in your eyes, you can't see, that sort of thing. So, and Everest and mountaineering, some people say, is one of the most dangerous sports. I mean, would you agree with that in some respects?
Well, it is the highest mountain in the world. Yeah. And the summit is at the height of what they call it, a commercial jet. Yeah. So you're literally walking at the height of a commercial jet. It's like 1/3 of oxygen at the death zone.
So you can hardly breathe.
You can hardly breathe without the supplementary oxygen. Yeah. It is a really inhospitable place. Yeah. But I believe there are other mountains, like there are 14 8,000 meter peaks in the world. Yeah. K2 is one of them. Pakistan. It's called the Savage Mountain for a reason. Sure. Then there are other mountains as well in Pakistan and Nepal as well, which are equally high as well. Yeah. Okay. And it is an inhospitable place, but it's definitely not the toughest one, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's still very tough, and there's still been, sadly, plenty of people who've died climbing Mount Everest, and you probably come across them on your journey up and down, sadly. But I heard that in the year that you climbed Everest, 11 people died that season. Yep. So it's nothing to sniff at. I mean, are those things that bother you when you plan your trips and motivate you to make things as safe as possible?
For sure. Even on that trip that I went on 2019, there was a teammate of mine. He's an American guy. Yeah. And we were all climbing together on the summit day, and he left much earlier than me. Sure. So I didn't see him most of the summit day. In fact, we couldn't see much of each other because we were all covered up in the down suits and everything. Sure. So we're all going our own paces. Yeah. But unfortunately, my friend Donald, he didn't make it down. Oh my God. So he had a heart attack, and he was given CPR by the Sherpas. Yeah. But he still remained unconscious, and they couldn't get him up, so they had to leave him behind.
Disaster. So sad.
So it is a sad reality, and definitely it does give me a greater sense of I got to make it back alive and do things properly and safely as well.
Well, that's an amazing achievement, and that's fantastic. Now I see pictures of people climbing Everest, and I know there's narrow windows of opportunity, but there's a very famous picture of on a sunny day, and there's hundreds of climbers on this sort of narrow escarpment. I mean, which is a really narrow, exposed ridge of mountain. I think I'm going to show that picture. Yep. But don't you find that sort of crazy? Like that you have to wait, so long to get up the mountain.
It was, to be honest, quite. I didn't imagine that it would be that crowded. Like that is a lot of people, like 200 people on that ridge. Yeah. You don't even get that many people at cold storage.
No social distancing.
Yeah, exactly. less the social distancing and stuff like that. But exactly what my thoughts is like. Wow, there's a lot of people out there. It's really shocking to see. And but then again, it is the government's. Nepali governments,
because they give hundreds of permits every year.
Yeah, they issue those permits.
It's so lucrative, isn't it? I mean, how much is a permit?
So typically it's about $11,000 US per person. Yeah. So the government probably takes a certain part of that amount.
So it's a big amount of income for the government.
It is.
Does anyone ever try and jump the queue? Barge past.
Yeah. In fact, I do get asked quite a lot about the traffic jam as well. It was quite chaotic, especially at the Hillary Step. The area where it is actually steep and the sheer drops like 2,000 meters on the right and left. So people are just concerned about life and death, So and we don't want to run out of oxygen as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so people do shove each other, to the sides.
That's terrible.
And even for myself, I had to lean onto one side to prevent myself from being pulled off the mountain. So basically,
you're almost pushed off the mountain by some pushy person.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you're talking about oxygen cylinders. I mean, how much equipment do you actually have to carry with you in terms of weight, number of bottles, all that sort of thing?
So we are for typical clients, depending on your requirements. For me, I had about 7 bottles of oxygen in total from Camp 3 to the summit and down again.
Oh my God, okay.
So you don't carry all of it. So the Sherpa carries 1 extra for you.
Sure,
he carries for himself as well, and I carry for myself.
Those Sherpas are pretty useful, aren't they?
They are the strongest nuggets in the world. They're tough. They're very tough. They know their stuff. All the respects to all the Sherpas out there.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good. And I always wondered. It's a mountain. Surely, does anyone ever try and like paraglide or heli jump over the top? Could you do that?
People have skied down from Mount Everest. Attempted to ski or even done so already.
Really? Okay.
So I believe there was a Nepali pair.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure who they are, but they actually did paraglide off.
Sure.
Yeah. And then they got like the National Geographic Award of the Year or something like that.
It sounds crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I suspect that can only be done maybe a few days of the year because I heard that the winds on Everest are extremely strong and you can't. It's difficult even to get a helicopter up there sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's why there's not loads of tourists flying up in helicopters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like above 7,000 meters, usually there are no helicopter rescues and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Well, we're so glad that you survived the trip and made it home safely to tell us all about it. And obviously, being in the situation we are now, how has this COVID-19 situation affected your schedule and your training? I mean, what were you planning to do next?
Yeah. So my next campaign or my next project is called the Singaporean 7 Summits.
Okay.
So as it says, I'm the Singaporean and I'm going to climb the 7 summits.
Okay, what are the 7 summits?
So the 7 summits are the highest mountains on the 7 continents.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's Everest, obviously in Asia, and then there's Africa, which is Kilimanjaro, and then there's one in Australia, which is Kosciuszko. There's one in Europe, which is Russia, and then there's another one in North America, South America, as well as Antarctica.
Sure.
So I'm left with Europe, North, South, and Antarctica.
Okay, so you've done quite a few of those already. So and you've already done Everest as well, which is amazing. So you're well on your way. And so what kind of training do you do, say, every week? Do you have is it mainly endurance based or do you do strength and conditioning as well?
So I do a bit of both, but for now it's more of maintenance because because of the COVID-19, we're just everything is placed on hold and pushing back the project about 1 year. To next July.
Sure.
So now it's more of maintenance of endurance. My muscles. I'm just trying to make sure that my cardio and my muscles are maintained at a certain standard or a certain level, so that when I get the chance to go, I don't need to pick up the pieces too much.
Sure.
And also like a bit of muscular training as well, so weight training, but not too much because I don't want to be too heavy on the top.
Sure. So you do a lot of running, cycling.
So a lot of running, cycling, mainly aerobic exercises as well as stairs training. Because
carrying heavy weights
on the ankles and on the backpack as well.
Okay. So what's your running distance per week? Just out of interest.
Not too much. Typically about 20 kilometers per week. So a long run.
Yeah.
So I just did a long run on Friday. It was like 15 kilometers.
Yeah, sure.
And then probably one today. 5 kilometers.
Sure. Okay. And obviously you up the intensity near the time of the expedition.
Yeah.
And in your day job, you're an outdoor education specialist for UWC, aren't you? So is that mainly sort of teaching climbing, bouldering, that sort of thing?
So it is a teaching role. We basically run the outdoor education program for the middle school.
Okay.
So that's grade 6 to grade 9. Mainly 11 to 14-year-olds.
Great.
So we do the programs, we do the expeditions to Malaysia and also Thailand, as well as 20 other countries around the world.
Right. Okay, so I just wanted to ask you, because obviously this show is about sports medicine and injuries, What's the worst injury you've ever had when you're mountaineering or climbing?
Actually, it's quite visible. Can you see anything over here?
Well,
I
also have a slightly interesting ear as well, but mine is more grappling related. I've got a cauliflower ear. But
you have a cauliflower ear. Yeah.
I remember actually when you came back from Everest and you had that interview with CNA, then you did actually have frostbite on your ear.
Yeah, literally. So, it was still visible. Right, yeah.
So, but you've in a way you've got off reasonably lightly. It's not that noticeable, but you've not had any shoulder injuries or hand injuries.
Yeah, I think like more of because I've been doing this sport for almost 15 years. I've been climbing for more than 15 years.
Yeah, you're pretty experienced. Right?
And I guess it's more of what they call it, injuries that are coming up.
Yeah,
I guess because I've been training and running so much and climbing the stairs, maybe soon to be a knee, ITB band or something like that.
The best is yet to be, so they say in Singapore. They love that phrase.
Exactly. Yes.
But what about your students? What kind of injuries do they? I hear that you get a lot of forearm, climbers' fingers, basically. Yeah. There's all that gripping, basically. We get a similar thing in jiu-jitsu as well.
Yeah.
But, and obviously if people fall off the climbing wall, they sometimes break things. But I guess if they don't climb Everest, they're pretty safe, actually.
Because it's quite
protective gear on, and they've got helmets, all that sort of thing. So kids at UWC are very safe. Don't worry.
They are very safe. I have to say this. They are very safe. They are very safe.
That's right.
Reverse in place.
So, you've also raised a lot of funds for the Singapore Cancer Society and the Children's Cancer Foundation, which is fantastic. You raised thousands and thousands of dollars. And why did you choose those particular charities? Do you mind me asking?
Sure, no worries.
Right, okay.
So when I was a young boy, I didn't know much, to be honest.
Okay.
But my uncle actually had he had stage 3 nose cancer.
Oh dear.
And so he went through chemotherapy and stuff like that, and then he managed to survive it.
Okay, fantastic.
And now he's retired in Australia.
Okay, wonderful.
So wonderful news.
Yeah.
But the story of him struggling and trying to bring up his kids at the same time while going through the cancer process, that was something that inspired me.
Sure.
And I thought I wanted to give back to something that I felt for. Mm-hmm. So I thought, why not I raise funds, doing what I was passionate about, to raise funds for cancer. Yeah. And so my first expedition to Everest was for SCS, Singapore Cancer Society. Yeah. They were mainly for older cancer patients. Mm-hmm. Because most of them were older cancer patients. The second one was for kids. Because I felt that, I've done enough for the adults, right? So now it's more like, those kids are quite sad as well.
Help all ages.
Yeah, so like holistic kind of thing, help all those kids as well.
Because cancer affects all ages, particularly elderly.
Yeah. And they should be given the opportunity to live as well.
Well, that's fantastic. So as well as the amazing achievement of climb Everest, you've also benefited mankind. So well done. That's fantastic. So sadly, we're coming to the end of our interview, which has been really enjoyable, I must say. Jeremy, do you have a message for the young athletes of Singapore, particularly aspiring climbers or explorers or mountaineers?
If you have a passion for something, flip every stone, and don't fear rejection, just go for it.
So what you're saying is follow your dreams, follow your passions.
Follow your dreams, follow your passion.
Never give up.
Yep, never give up. Okay. Be resilient. Be resilient.
Thanks so much, Jeremy. That was awesome. That's it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Cheung.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye now.